Good morning, everyone. I have a little bit of a review here for you guys today. We've had this one for a little while now. This is actually my girlfriend's daily carry that she uses. It's a Sig Sauer P938. It's a miniature 1911 chambered in 9mm. It's a cool little gun. The trigger on it is absolutely amazing. Everything about it is a really cool gun. I will tell you some of the weird parts that we don't like about it, because there are some things that I think is a little bit strange for a gun that costs as much as this thing does. Um, I, I think my P365 actually sometimes does a better job in comparison and costs, around $200 to $300 less. However, this is a really good gun. It shoots really well. Like I said, the trigger on it is amazing. It does have a safety, and it is on right now. It is loaded, but I will unload it to show you some of the things that I find weird. So as you know, a lot of these guns are, 6+1 or a 7+1, so you can have one in the chamber. So when you go to load it, obviously, you would, load the magazine, cock it, drop the slide, and then it would put one in the chamber. Then you would pull the magazine out to put one more in the magazine. But when you drop it, you'll see a bullet falls out with it. I think that's because it's trying to chamber the next round, and so it's grabbing it with the hook. But my 365 doesn't do that. When I drop the magazine, an extra bullet does not fall out of my magazine. And of course, there's still one in the chamber, so I will go ahead and drop that. That's one thing that we find really weird. Also, a lot of times when you shoot it, I don't know if it's just not broken in yet. I would say it's fairly broken in. We've shot this thing at least, 200-300 rounds through it by now. Probably even more than that. And it'll still jam sometimes. Like these the shells will actually jam in the ejector chute right there. They'll get caught. I don't know if it's just not quite large enough. On my 365, I noticed that, the corner edges there are rounded off, and I'll go show you that here. You'll notice right here, that's rounded off, and over here, it's more squared off. I mean, like I said, this is a 1911. It's a much older design. So I think that might be part of the problems. Also, a lot of your 1911s are chambered in 45. This one's a miniature chambered in 9mm. So I don't know if that has any, say in why it jams so much. But like I said, my 365 doesn't nearly jam as much. And like I said, when I drop the magazine, nothing falls out. I think it's strange, like I said, for the money that we paid for the 938, that it jams up the way that it does, and that when you drop the magazine out, a bullet falls out with it. Yeah, it's interesting, like I said. But aside from that, you'll notice that, like I said, it is unloaded now. So if I drop the safety, you'll notice that there really isn't a whole lot of play in the trigger there. It's a very, very clicky trigger. You'll notice also the size of it is a bit smaller than the 365, and a lot of that has to do, see, line up the backs there. You'll notice the length is a little bit less. And a lot of that just has to do with the fact that that doesn't have an external hammer and this does. Being a 1911, that's part of the design. Aside from that, it is a really good gun. It shoots great. It just, like I said, sometimes the casings seem to get jammed in here. And when you drop the magazine, one of these, bullets tends to be hung up, I think, on the, the hold piece or the grab piece or whatever that's trying to chamber it into the, the next shot. Like I said, for the money that you pay for this, I don't 100% recommend it be the gun that you go after, especially if it's, something that is your first gun. You want something that's going to be reliable, and isn't going to have issues like this one seems to have. I don't regret our purchase necessarily, because I do like the gun, and I think it's nice that we have, two different guns. I think it would be more boring if she had the same gun that I did. It would make it less fun, but I think this one's a little bit overpriced for what you end up actually getting out of it. Like I said, it's an older design, so I think that has a lot to do with why it jams. It also is a single stack, so it's only a 6+1, or this one's a 7+1 because it's got the extra little finger hold down here. And this is the extended mag. That's a 12+1. So it's a double stack, and like I said, it's a little bit more reliable on the shooting aspect, where it doesn't jam up or anything like that. And when you go to drop your magazine to put that extra round in there, you're not having to put 2 in because they fell out. Like I said, it's a fine gun. I don't regret our purchase, but I don't recommend somebody go out and say, hey, go buy the P938, because it's definitely a great gun. I think it's a temperamental gun. I think maybe once we shoot it some more and I update down the road, I'll let you guys know if it starts acting, better. But as I see it now, I think it's pretty well broken in. We've shot this thing, like I said, well over 200 to 300 times by now, and I would think that should be enough to get it to where it would start acting normally. But we're still having the same issues. It'll still jam the casing in the chute. The rounds obviously are still going to fall out of that. I don't think that'll ever stop. Maybe the jamming in the chute might, with it being broken in more, but this I don't think is going to ever be a solved problem. And I don't even think that's something that I could necessarily send back to Sig and say, hey, whenever I drop my magazine, another round falls out. I don't know what would cause that, but it happens nearly every time you go to drop the magazine out to put the extra round in there. So that's my little review on the 938. I haven't reviewed the 365 yet, but I have touched it a few times in a few of my videos. This is a fine gun, I will say, and I'll review this a little bit more on another day. And if you guys have any questions about either of these guns, I'm more than happy to help answer anything that you guys might wonder. But if I had to pick between these two on my first purchase for a gun, if this was I was looking at them, I would more than likely go this route, just because, again, it would be my only gun, and I want something that's going to be reliable and isn't going to have the issues. Like, we didn't know that this would have any issues. None of the videos that I've watched on the P938 have really touched on the issues that it seems to have. Everything said it was a great gun and it was a fine gun, but I have found that it is a fine gun, but it has a few quirks that, somebody who, isn't very experienced with a firearm isn't going to want to deal with, their ammunition falling out as they drop their magazines, and having to, load 2 rounds in, and all this, that, and the other. And the jamming, they might not even know what to do. I know my girlfriend, when she shot this a few times at the range and it jams up, she's kind of like, hey guys, can you guys help me, because I don't know what to do. And that's the kind of thing where, like, in a situation where you actually need your gun, that's not what you want to have happen. Especially if you don't have somebody around that can help you and you're by yourself. For the reliability factors, I give it to the 365. That's the one that I would go with. I think it's a more modern design. I think it benefits from that factor, and that's just my opinion. Other people may agree or disagree. But like I said, none of the videos that I have seen so far have touched on the issues that this gun seems to have. So I figured I'd touch base a little bit on it and show you guys what actually seems to happen with it and why it seems to be such a finicky gun. But aside from that, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, if you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out, message us. If you want to see anything special, let me know. I'm hoping to have a good video here soon on a 308 for you guys, Scar 17. Obviously more videos of the SK. We got some AR videos coming soon. Let us know what you guys want to see. Have a good one.